Live from the Loft 100 Studios in sunny San Diego, California. OTR, on the air is on the air. I'm Sully, that's Russ Nailz, that's Little Tommy, and that's the Sully Band.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You know,
Wow.
there's nothing better than a band with horns.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean,
I got a
geez.
good-looking horn band.
Well,
Except for the guy that just played the trumpet thing. But other than that,
Wait a minute
that was
now.
Steve Dillard, who has played with the Righteous Brothers and Huey Lewis and the San Diego Symphony, right? I mean, and everything else. Steve, fantastic job. And that is what. Could you know the name of that song he played at the beginning? That lick.
Get going, horses.
No. Well, do you know what it's called?
On your mark,
No.
it's
There's a name of it. It is called Call to Post.
Call to
Right?
Post.
Call to Post, right? That's right. I learned that from Steve right before the show.
Have you ever played at the track doing Call to Post?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, in
fine.
fact, Steve's sub in our band is a guy named Les Kepix.
Oh, yeah.
And he's the guy at Disney wear the Don Diego outfit. He plays it. He's the guy you hear most of the time. But but Steve's Les's sub over at the track. Les is Steve's sub here at the
Okay, I
Sully
see how it
Band.
works.
So
This
that's
is
how it
good.
works. Fantastic job. Nice job, Nick. Well, we got a big show.
Yeah.
Speaking
You
of
know,
Del Mar.
Yeah.
Things are opening up. We have Ombacks over the line, and we have Del Mar opening up.
Is on back?
Yes.
Should we? Maybe not. All right.
All right.
Very good. Great to have you along, everyone. So who do we have for the race?
Wow,
We've got a
we
couple of
have-
trainers, a couple of jockeys,
A horse.
a couple
We
of
have
marketing people.
two of the big giants.
Felix
We
Taverna's
have
here.
Craig Dado, the chief marketing officer, and Mr. Joe Harper, the CEO
Come on.
of the Del Mar Thoroughbred
Couldn't have
Club.
them just once.
No.
We had them twice.
Yeah.
Believe that?
A little more of a trot we'd like to see.
Talk about Del Mar royalty. Come on.
I know.
Right here.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you saw me in this.
Wait a minute. I saw it this morning.
That's right.
I was on a horse.
It's a blanket.
Wait a minute.
Hey, hello.
Yeah,
Oh,
same
it was.
one. Yeah.
It's fresh.
So we got Craig Dado, Joe Harper. My very first question, because I heard this stat and I was amazed. Is it true you guys had to orchestrate 1,800 horses into the Del Mar area?
That's right.
How did you do that?
Horseshoe. Just no.
But really, how did you do that?
Well, fortunately, they didn't all arrive at the same time. But, no, most of them come down from Santa Anita and some, other places. Some of them are coming from the east. We'll probably, by the end of the season, have about 2,000 horses that will have come through, racing there.
Now,
So-
who covers the cost of hauling their big horse ass out here? Is it the owner or is it you guys? You say we want this horse?
It's the owner. Always gets the bill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, always.
Okay.
Actually, we got a pretty good program going for the last few years. Ship and win. So
Careful.
if you're back, yes, yeah. If you're back in the East Coast and you got a horse that, hey, maybe they'll fit in this race at Del Mar, but it's a long shipping, a lot of money. We'll actually pay you enough money to ship your horse out here, and then even some bonuses while you run. And that's,
Do
And
they have jet lag? Do horses like, oh God, it's 3 o'clock my time. Where am I? Or,
Yeah, they
That's
do.
exactly what happened. Is that the international symbol for hungover horse?
That's right.
I'm a little tired.
They get off with a long face. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, gentlemen, so anything happening lately? Been busy? Anything? You had time for a round of golf?
He's finally has to go to work.
Yeah.
He finally, you're going to actually have a marketing thing going on this year.
Took the year off.
Yeah.
So I'm back.
You didn't try though. That wasn't on purpose. How busy are you, honestly, the month before opening day versus the rest of the season, or is it pretty much seems like? Because there's a lot more things going on opening day. It seems like, but every single day you guys have a meet. It is the same sort of quality, the same sort of people. You got the parking people, you got the betting, you got everything. So is it ramped up the month before? Or?
Definitely is, and it's very different. The month before, you're doing all the preparation. You're worrying about how do we get tickets for these guys, take care of the sponsors, who are the celebrities, and then when the meet starts, it's a completely different job. Then you got to get out there and shake hands with the gamblers and the owners and the celebrities. And with the gamblers, the key is you have to get to them early in the day before they've lost money.
Well, we're still in a good mood.
Wait a minute, we have people losing money?
Imagine that.
So celebrities.
Yeah.
So they call you guys and they say, "Hey, I'm coming in." And you
Sometimes they do, and sometimes organically they just show up, and there's a sighting, and you're like, "Hey, Floyd Mayweather's here. Oh, how about that? Let's go see if he wants to present a trophy." You never know what you're going to get.
Is there a hotline for celebrities? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
inside little,
in other words, you know, let's
1-800,
let's say Fernando
yeah.
Tatis wants to come in. Is there a hotline to Craig? Is there like a red bat phone in Joe's office? That's the number they call up, and suddenly there's a red carpet.
It's always their people.
Oh, is there people?
They're people. Yeah.
That's how you know they're
I would
a real
love to
celebrity.
have people.
Yeah.
I need people.
We all need people.
Yeah, that's
you know?
good.
Yeah.
You know, what an exciting year, especially post-COVID. Does it feel more special this year or more of a hassle this year?
I know. I'll tell you, it is so special.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we've been sitting around for a year and a half, just about. I mean, I didn't talk to anybody last year. There was nobody to talk to. I finally went down to the tote room where the money comes in through the machine. Talked to the machine.
There you go.
It was great. Yeah. What do we do today, boss? Oh, we did a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, just seeing the you know, Del Mar, it's a party. It's a fun place,
Right.
and with nobody there, it's just God. It's like taking all the air out of the balloon, you know. And
it is a different place because, you know, being in the media, you do get to be there when there's nobody there early in the morning sometimes, and it is a completely. I'm thinking to myself, oh, there's nothing to do here. I might as well go home. And then suddenly, when you have a race meet, boy, that's a place you could go to starting at, you know, noon when the gates open, and
at
stay
least.
to the bitter end,
Even
and
sooner.
there's something going on the whole time.
Now, last year you did some races, but without people, right?
Correct.
Right.
Or, I
Yeah.
mean,
you
jockeys
guys did well.
We did really well. We ran the whole normal meet.
And you didn't put the cardboard cutout people in there. That was so smart of you.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to know you because of that. I'm so glad you didn't.
Beautiful cardboard cutouts.
We,
So an
we saw
interesting
enough of
fact
that.
is that only about 10% of the betting comes from on track.
Right there live?
Right there, only 10%.
Is that on a regular day?
On a regular
Yeah.
day.
No kidding.
So last year, without the on-track fans, because people were at home with nothing to do,
Right.
the betting was up at 8 or 10%.
Oh, that's. Is there an app for this?
There is an app.
Del Mar app or
absolutely,
whatever?
yeah.
Real quickly, I want to get this out of the way because I'll probably do something on this. I'll steal your numbers from this show. Economic impact for the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club and the race meets is unbelievable, not just for the city of Del Mar, but for San Diego as a whole as far as tourism. First of all, how many people do you guys employ top to bottom on a regular season?
I don't know. How many did we have?
About 3,000. Yeah.
3,000
Yeah.
people employed,
Yeah.
and that's from parking attendants all the way up to
Three
hospitality
different
people.
unions.
Yeah.
600 people live on the backside with the horses.
Right,
And
and
there's
then
18 or so. How many horses at once back there? 1,800.
About
yeah.
1,800, yeah.
Oh, man.
and then what's
Yeah.
what's an average attendance per year?
Well,
First
back in
count.
the heyday, about 5 years ago, we got up to about 17,000 a day. That was the high water mark.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and if you think in terms of just dollars spent in this city, hospitality represents 24% of our economy here, number one. Number two, for every 1,000 visitors
Yeah.
that visit our city, and there's a lot of folks coming in from out of town, it creates something like 15 jobs. This is an economic driver. This can't go away. I mean, honestly, it's as much about the economy in San Diego as it is about horses. But back to the fun time. Go ahead.
You know, I want to know about the history. I know a lot of people know, okay, Bing Crosby, but how did it all start? Can you take us back to like the history of Del Mar?
Well, it started with a change in the law. Racing was illegal up to about 1933. Apparently, they didn't like gambling, somewhere between Prohibition and there.
Right.
So by the time 33 rolled around, everybody was saying, really, we got to get a bet
Let
down.
it go.
And so they let it go. And when they started up again, it wasn't for betting. It was really to help the agricultural, help the farmer. This was the way to do it, you know. Total BS, but it worked. And
Like most government programs.
yeah, most government programs. Yeah, we'll do it for this way, but we're really
we're
doing it
doing
over
it this
here.
way,
So it got, you know, brought racing back, because then before that everybody's going to Caliente.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah,
was
that's right.
running. Yeah.
But who had the land that the track is on now? What?
The state of California.
Yeah.
You know, so you know Bing and some other guys got
Yeah.
together. I mean, Bing, I think.
O'Brien or
Well, Pat O'Brien,
O'Brien,
and some people, and just went to the state and said, look, you know, we think this would be a great spot. It's, you know, Bing was living up the road at the Osuna property there. He had a farm, and they kind of put the deal together with the state of California. They put the money up so the state wouldn't be out of it, and got the thing built. It was built by the WPA, believe it or not, which was the Works Progress Administration.
No kidding.
It was one of those, you know, when the Depression
Yeah,
hit.
kind of, yeah,
this was a group
they'll
of
put our people to
Same
work.
group
yeah.
building national parks and
that
freeways.
original grandstand was built by, you know, ex-stockbrokers who went broke. So
Right.
the place was, you know, going to fall down, and it did finally. but it was there that started it and got it going, and Hollywood came down.
Sure,
I
Bing
mean,
and the
because Bing and the
Bing crew,
boys
yeah.
and all that, you know, Crosby at the time was really big. He had gotten away from the studio because he was a singer and he was a actor, and so he was kind of his own guy. He wasn't under the thumb of a studio, and that made a big difference because he could go to all the different studios and bring the different people down, and that kind of kicked it off.
You know, I have to ask you, Craig, you know, with respect to, you know, we talk about workload and everything else like that, but it's still, you get to be at the racetrack for a living. I mean, it's still.
Don't look too happy, or you know.
Now, do you have more fun during the opening day period, or do you have more fun throughout the year, or do you have more fun before, post, or when the last race is? That's when. How does that work?
It's fun. The races are fun. Yeah. Opening. There's nothing like opening day. But you know, the week before is tough because you're trying to find tickets for all these different people. Where am I going to slot them? Joe, can I please have another table in the turf club? You know, you got to figure it out. But by the time opening day rolls around, it's a lot.
That sounds like an old 40s song. Joe, can I have another table in the turf club? I think we know that, don't we? Speaking of songs, so you heard the call to post that Steve Dillard played, right?
I did, yeah.
And he did a fantastic job.
He did,
well done. Do you know what is the history of that? You of all people should know the history of that. As I put you on the spot.
Yeah. It must have originated in England or somewhere like that. Yeah, with a long horn.
Dillard, do you know that story?
It's an old opera. Jock in the Box.
Jock. Wow.
Good answer. There you go.
Well, there's a difference, you know, playing it on a trumpet and playing on one of those long horns.
Oh, that's right.
That's just tougher to do that.
Interesting.
I remember the old bugler at Santa Anita said, you know, what goes in here never seems to come out there.
And that's kind of a life lesson, Joe.
Yeah.
It's a bumper sticker.
Craig, how did you get the job?
I worked for 10 years at Santa Anita Racetrack up in LA, and I always had my eye on Del Mar, always wanted to come down here. And then the gentleman who had the job before me retired. He turned 65 and he retired. And Joe and Craig Fravel, who was then running the track, took me to dinner to interview me, and I didn't realize the gentleman had retired. So when they offered me the job, I probably didn't negotiate very well when I jumped across the table. Yeah.
That was his story, you know.
Yeah.
My story is Santa Anita fired him.
Oh, that's right.
They fired everybody up there.
Lost his
Santa Anita has fired every good. I got an Eclipse Award once. I got up to give my acceptance speech, and all the racing people were there. And I said, you know, you guys out in the audience, track managers, if you ever need anybody, go to the Arcadia unemployment office by Santa Anita Park. They're all there. I got race callers. They got publicity guys. They got everything there because they fire them all. We just brought them all down here.
Yeah, exactly. Big changes this year, obviously. You've got you have less people. I mean, what's typical opening days? What, 40,000, 35,000?
35, 40.
Yeah. Wow, that's a stadium full of people.
Yeah.
And it's about half this year? Or?
About 16 this year. We can only sell seats, so you have to have a seat to come on opening day. We sold out in 2 days. It's all gone.
I don't think it's going to look any different throughout the season at all. I when you start thinking in terms of what the season looks like, you know, I think there's the you know, as you watch races and watch the betting goes, I think it's going to look exactly the same.
I think
obviously
maybe
right. The bottom line might not look the same. Joe started to say, but the amount of people, I think that's probably a better thing for
you might be right.
for a little while just to you know, ease the congestion and such.
Have you ever ridden a racehorse?
God, that's a great question.
Right in there. I mean,
I've ridden not in a race, but I've ridden.
You're a big jockey.
Yeah, I went. Yeah.
When jockeys retire, do they get like fat and old looking, or
as a follow-up question to that?
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
This, Joe? When did you drive the racehorse? Tell us about it.
I just thought about an old jockey because, you know, like old sports guys, they get out of business, they just get out of shape.
You skipped about 4 questions. Tell us about that.
Well, we got an hour show, for God's sake. We'll get back there.
Yeah.
No, but you actually were on. How about you? On a racehorse, riding it, or
no, never have.
Near one?
I've owned a few, but I've never ridden one.
Yeah, but riding it. What was
well,
that
I grew up riding horses, so
okay.
You know, I mean, I go in the jocks room and say, "How many times did you break your clavicle?" I'll broke mine 3 times, and But a ways back, there was some of the jockeys were concerned about when they turned into the stretch that that rail seemed to come out, and they all complained about it. And so we looked at the overheads and everything. The rail doesn't come out. They said, well, it does. I'm telling you. I said, you're crazy. I've driven around the track, and it said, you got to see it from a horse.
Right.
So it was like Chris McCarron, you know, I've heard there was about 5 senior riders, and we all got on horses right after the break, before they let the other horses on, and started galloping around the track. And they said, put Harper on the rail. Now that's not a good place to be. So I'm on the rail, and we're cooking along pretty good.
Yeah.
And so pretty soon, here comes one of the jocks comes over. I think it was Chris, and he's crowding me, and the rail there. You know, when you hit the rail, it's usually the end of the world.
Yeah.
So one of them back there, I think it was Eddie Delahousie, he said, "Don't put him over the rail. He's the only guy that listens to us."
You killed him.
Yeah. And they were right. You know?
There you go.
There it is.
Right
That's
on
it.
time.
So was it? Did the rail come out?
The rail, it was an optical kind of illusion, but
Right.
it really
No
did,
kidding.
and we kind of fiddled around with it, and so it, you know.
No kidding.
So
Yeah,
a big
it was
hammer,
weird.
and push it back.
Would you
Yeah.
ever do it again? Would you ever do it
Oh
again?
yeah, I love
Yeah,
getting on horses.
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
All right. A horse's name. Has a horse's name ever come across where you said, hey, you can't use that?
Uh-oh, here we go. Editors, get ready in there.
You know, yeah. The last time I told this story, it was nothing but beep, you know. Okay, yeah. There are some horses that would insult certain people, and and so you have to be very careful there. All horses that when they're names, they submit it to the Jockey Club, the Registry of Horses, and usually the people back there, you know, look at it. It's like ordering a license plate.
Oh,
you know,
that's
well,
right.
They look at it in the mirror. They turn it
I'm
around.
a killer. Wait, I'm a killer? You can't have that one. Yeah.
So, but some of them get through. It was a very nice little old lady that sat there and said,
And
"Oh,
watches
that looks
it.
okay."
Oh,
You know,
whoops,
well,
yeah.
no, it wouldn't really look
And what,
okay.
13 or 18 letters max? What is the limit? Do you know? I think it's 8. Yeah, I don't know. Get back to me.
Yeah, I'll get back to you. Yeah.
I'm still envisioning this Oompa Loompa old jockey retired on a horse. Not you.
Joe Harper, Craig Dado, it's on the air. We got lots more coming up. It is the Mar Thoroughbred Club version of OTA. Coming up.
Yeah.
These guys are a pretty good band.
Yeah.
And they're better without me in front of them. Hey, it's on the air with the Sully Band. I'm just saving up. I got a show coming up. These guys are just playing.
Oh, I love that. Listen to that horn again.
You like that? That's what. Come on, April, do it again. You know, we found her, right?
Where?
Right here on KUSI. Tommy had her on, was it the one of Good Morning
She was
San
playing
Diego?
on a patio with another band, and then I called you. I go, hey, I think
You guys ought to add some horn players. And I looked at April and I said, yeah, we should have had a horn player, don't you think? So we had April, Leslie, and Tomoka Jarvis. And yeah, it's only gotten better. I think the day that we got that's when Craig actually finally hired us after I called him up a million times and said, hey, will you let us play? You guys get some pretty famous people there, right? And some not only famous celebrities, but some famous trainers. So Bob Baffert comes to mind. And that's been an interesting story this year.
Yeah, I wonder what he's been up to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, gee.
How do you guys just tread around that lightly when he rolls through the grounds, or how?
Well, you know, Bob and I have been friends for a long, long time.
Sure.
I knew him when he was in the quarter horse business down in Nogales, Arizona. But yeah, it's certainly got the media's attention.
Sure.
The positive test in the Kentucky Derby was, I think, while it was the medication was a legal medication used in training horses, but not allowed during races. And that's not that uncommon to get those kind of positives. And usually it's, you know, the racing commissions say, okay, you shouldn't have done that, so you're going to get 10 days off or 20 days off and a fine, $5,000.
Yeah.
But when it happens in the Kentucky Derby, apparently that's a lot more noticeable.
Bigger deal, yes.
Yeah, and Churchill, you know, said, "Get out of here, Bob." And the New York tracks basically said the same thing. He's not allowed back here. The Jockey Club went in with the Friends of the Court that, yeah, that's right. So, you know, Bob had no path to take other than a lawsuit.
Oh, geez.
And that's where it is now.
Yeah. How do you think that's going to end up? Any care to pontificate
Well,
on
how we get involved in this is we're waiting for the Kentucky Racing Commission to come out with a ruling. It's not a management decision of tracks. That's really counts. It's the one that's the commission says,
Sure.
okay, you did something wrong. You got a positive. Here's what it is.
Right.
They have yet to do that. And when and if they come out with a ruling, we would most likely honor that. We always have usually. If a jockey is involved in a incident and he gets 5 days or 10 days down, he can't go somewhere else and get on.
During that
so
off time, yeah.
the same thing would be for a trainer. So if Bob gets 30 days or something, let's say that, and it falls in our thing, we would probably.
But in the meantime, he's at Del Mar this year.
Yeah, he's at Del Mar. He's got a lot of horses there.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you're talking about the subject, one thing I'd like to bring up, and I brought it with Craig on several interviews on Kogo as well as the show, is that this is the industry standard for safety in racetracks, Del Mar is, and I think more people need to understand that, right? Talk about that, because that's a big deal, and it's tough for you guys to come out and say, because it sounds like, hey, we're beating our chest and it's a little contrived, but when you guys really are one of the safest racetracks in the country. I think that's
the safest. Yeah,
the safest racetrack.
There's been a lot
in a row too.
3 years. Yeah, there's been a lot of press about horses being euthanized, and the fact is, last year we have 1,850 horses on the backside at a given time. We probably have 2,500 come through there in a season. Last year we lost one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Is there a problem? I think we're doing pretty well.
And that's going to happen. I mean, it's
going to happen.
It's a dangerous sport anyway.
It's going to happen in someone's backyard.
Horses are going fast.
Horses are going to die sometimes. So we're really proud of that. We did have some issues about 3 or 4 years ago that we faced and we fixed, and we've changed the culture. We've added more vets. We've done a number of things, and knock on wood, it's going really well. So we're very proud of it. Again, we've been the safest racetrack in the country for 3 years running, and we intend to keep it going.
Yeah, fantastic.
I have a race question. Were you really the mail boy for the Elvis Presley movies? Tell me about that. I heard that.
Did you race to get Elvis his mail?
I was the mail boy at MGM Studios from the kind of the mid '60s in there, and Elvis was making movies there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because it was a very closed set, and Elvis kind of didn't know which movie he was making. He made like 8 or more, or whatever there was, and they're all the same, and so I think he just this hold up the card and read.
You're a cowboy in this one. You're a surfer over here. You're a cowboy.
He was actually a pretty good actor, and he did a good job. But sets were so closed, and of course they never closed a set for the mail boy.
No.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I heard that Claudia Cardinale was going to do a nude shot on a certain. Well, I
and you had mail.
I had my mail bag.
You've got mail.
Everybody off the set. Oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
So I got to see Claudia Cardinale.
Oh, those are great.
Speaking of the movies, talk about you do have a movie career. And what's the big movie? Was it 10 Commandments?
The Ten Commandments. Yeah.
Talk about that. That's an interesting story.
Well, the fun part about that was going to Egypt to live there for 3 months on location out in the desert.
Wow, this is before computer-generated.
Oh yeah.
Was it really in Egypt?
No. There's really in Egypt.
It was up in Apple Valley in the high desert or something.
In fact, we really parted the Red Sea.
No kidding.
That staff.
We really did.
It did.
Your grandpa.
Okay, God.
Yeah.
And but it was a fascinating thing because thousands of extras and all of Paramount was there and they built this huge set and I got to be a Hebrew slave.
And what scene? And there was a particular scene, correct?
Well, there was a great scene. It was back when we were on back at the studio at Paramount, and there was Edward G. Robinson was there, and he played Dathan. Where's you got it now, Moses? and
mind if I mark, Moses? Mind if I?
So he's trying to tell Moses that things aren't going well with God and him, and so
Sure.
But I was right next to him. I thought, this is great. I'm
going to be in the scene.
The face.
Right.
Well, of course, grandfather, being the good director, looked at me and said, "Not so Hebrew slavish.
No,
back, a little farther, Yeah, I was in Pomona by the time.
All right, on the air. There's more to come.
to be loved by you. Say it again now. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Yeah. How sweet it is.
You know what? I just got to say, that's my band right there. That sounds good. You guys sound good. You know, I remember you come up. By the way, I will donate to the Mar Thoroughbred Club for any event, our band, anytime you want. Even if it's just, Joe's 45th birthday party, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. There, so anytime you want us. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you about. I've always wanted to know this because we've opened for a number of bands. We get to be backstage right before you go on, and you're thinking, oh my God, Mick Jagger peed here. You start thinking in terms of
Mick Jagger peed here.
What was hey, there's the bowl of green M&Ms that Grand Funk asked for. Any you don't have to name names. But any crazy requests that you ever get?
Oh, and the writers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writers for writers?
No, writers for bands. You get some big name bands over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just kind of X through a lot of it. Like, come on.
Come on, really.
I need 6 washcloths, all white. It's like what?
Now, as far as accommodations for celebrities that want to come and watch the races and stuff like that, is that typically just give them some tickets? I want to shake hands with Joe Harper, and I need a lobster lunch across at Fish Market. Or is there any requests like that, or is it just about get-ins?
Oh, they want to be in the high-end areas. We generally put them in the director's room where Joe and our board sits. We're happy to do it. There is one story about 10 years ago. We got a call. Jerry Seinfeld wanted to come to the races, and he wanted a luxury suite up on the 5th floor. So of course we did it. And actually, this might have been more because I was new there, and I was naive, obviously, and put Jerry up in the luxury suite. And I went up to meet him, and I walk in and. I don't see Jerry. And I say, excuse me, is Jerry Seinfeld here? And this guy says, hi, I'm Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, no
He
way.
was a dentist from Reseda.
That's Jerry Seinfeld.
A very happy Dennis.
So we vetted a little more now.
Yeah.
We learned our lesson.
How about top-ranked jockeys? Can they demand, like, I want my own little jockey?
See, the
dressing?
jockeys don't work for us. They work for the owners and the trainers.
Oh, okay.
Wait a second. Explain that. I don't think. I thought the jockeys were on staff at the Mar Thoroughbred
just
Club.
stand around.
Fortunately, no. They're
No.
Yeah. No, they're independent contractors.
So they work for. So if you have, let's say, a Bob Baffert brings out 50 horses with him, and he brings his own jockeys with him, and those guys just race his horses, huh?
Well, no. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So a race is drawn. Here's the 10 horses in the race.
Yeah.
Every jockey has an agent. And the agent's job is to figure out which horse do we want to be on. They call that trainer, hey, can I ride your horse?
Oh, wow.
And then the trainer has to pick which jockey he wants.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know that.
And there's some
Good.
jockeying for position.
There is.
See what
I
I
did there?
Yeah, there is.
And is there? And as far as are all jockeys' fees based upon winnings, or do jockeys get salaries from owners?
Sometimes they do get salaries, but that's very rare. So usually the jockeys get 10% of the purse money, and they also get like a union dues for just riding a race, like $70 a race, plus their percentage of the purse money.
Well, so they're out there to win. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I just got to ride this horse.
Their livelihood depends on it. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
I have a Domar question. All right, your grandfather
What
Cecil
movie
B.
was
DeMille. Okay. Listen,
Just go there.
I'm fascinated about this. So you're growing up, you're a kid. I mean,
Did you
you're
ever
Hollywood.
say to yourself,
You're
my
Hollywood.
grandfather Cecil B. DeMille?
Cecil.
Cecil,
You're
sorry.
Hollywood
Bad, my
royalty.
bad.
How was it like growing up? Like, are you having breakfast and there's Frank Sinatra coming in, or?
I never saw Frank. No, but there was always usually somebody over there, Heston, and my uncle was Anthony Quinn. He was there almost every Christmas. Yeah.
Was it Uncle
I
Tony?
love Anthony
It
Quinn.
was Uncle Tony, yeah. And he was great because whatever character he was doing at the time, that's what he showed up kind of as.
No
you know?
kidding, yeah.
He was doing Viva Zapata with Marlon Brando. He came in, where's the tequila? Over there, Uncle Tony. Yeah. But he was a great guy, yeah. In fact, we have his great-grandson working as an intern this
No
year.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice kid, yeah.
That's just a day in the life. I mean, you didn't think, well, Chuck Heston's here, or you thought.
No, you
Uncle
get
Tony.
used to.
Did you say Chuck Heston, man?
Chuck Heston, man.
Chuck.
Well,
Chuck Heston's here,
I'm
man.
living in his, through his eyes, I would say. Uncle Tony and Chuck's here,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Jimmy Stewart. He was in the greatest show on earth, and I remember he was the first guy I ever heard. I was little. I was probably about 7 years old then, and I remember sitting there on the studio floor waiting for the next shot, and he was talking to Betty Hutton, and he's in clown makeup on. But
That's Lauren Hutton, right?
no, Betty Hutton.
Who's Betty Hutton?
Betty Hutton. Well, see, some of us older people. Annie, get your gun.
Okay. Yeah, oh, yeah, yes.
Anyway,
Of course,
Siri, who's Betty
Of
Hart?
course, it's from a musical comedy that I recognize.
But anyway, he was the first person I'd ever heard use the F word. Jimmy Stewart
dressed like a clown.
Said the F word. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah.
Wait, we all remember the first time we heard the F word.
Yeah.
Yours just happened with a major international celebrity.
Yeah.
In clown makeup.
That's Gloria Graham was the best of them all. Gloria Graham, you look her up, and she was a great waitress. I think actress. She even, I think, won an Academy Award or nominated for one. And Betty Hutton would come on the set, and being the little spoiled brat that I was, they'd go run over it because they wanted to show grandfather that they liked me.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, and so, Betty would give me a kiss. Well, Gloria Graham just came over and said, "Hey, sugar." Well, I just lost it. I was 7 years old, and it was the first time that I thought, "What's happening?
What's
Once again,
going
Joe
on
Harper
here?
shows up and we're in the editing room.
I know where they go.
So,
There's a call to post. Thank you. Be here all week, folks.
years later, a reporter from the LA Times called me up, a swimming reporter, and she said, "I understand you knew Gloria Graham, where I'm doing a story on her." She had long since died. And I said, "Yes, I have fond remembers." And she said, "Well, what were they?" I said, "Well, she was responsible for my first." I said, "Really? Okay, well,
Can I quote you on that?
Oh, man. It's always the best show when Joe Harper shows up.
Yeah.
Remember the last time we asked him about a horse name?
It's on the editing room floor. All right. Much more to come.
Sully Band.
Nice.
Hey, Steve, will you bust that call to post that one more time for us?
One more
Because
time.
look, this is sort of an audition for you here, because the CEO of the Mar Thoroughbred Club and the Chief Marketing Officer. Oh, yeah, get up in front here. Steve Dillard, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's see if we have you back this year when the people are in the stands.
This one's for you, Joe.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you hear what Joe said?
I love that.
Joe just said, "Thanks, we'll call you."
I'll have my people get in touch with your people. Yeah.
That is, it's every race, too. They
Yeah.
don't just play it in the opening.
Now, is Trevor Denman still the
He's coming back.
He's coming back.
Yeah, he wasn't last year. He was holed up in his farm in Minnesota because of COVID.
Right.
And I kept calling him, say, "You coming back?" And he would say, I don't know yet. Okay, so when he said, "I don't know yet," about 2 months ago, I was getting a little worried.
Right.
But he and his wife Robin are coming. They're out, and
And does every track have that, too? Can you get a different guy like that to come in during the year?
well,
Did he work at Santa Anita?
We were, yeah, he did. He called the races in Southern California when he came out from South Africa. But then he retired from Santa Anita, and he called me up to I didn't know he was retiring. He called me up to his booth one year at Del Mar, and he said, "I want to let you know I'm retiring." And I went, No. He said, "No, not here."
Oh, good, yeah.
So he retired to Santa Anita, but he stayed on with us. And I mean, he's such a good caller, and he's got a name. He's got a certain way of calling
really
a race.
is cool, yeah.
He's cool because he tells you what's going on in the race. You know?
Right.
And he's got the cool accent.
he's got a cool
He's got that good South African accent
that's
there.
right.
What? So I don't think a lot of people know that your guys' day, not just in marketing but racing, starts at really at the crack of dawn.
Yeah, we open the track at what 4:30 every morning.
And when do the horses and the trainers show up?
They show up about 4:30 every morning, even before, to get the horses ready. See, with 1,800 plus horses, you know, you don't want them all to go out at once in a 2-hour period. So we stretch it out, and it gives us time after so many times. to refreshen the track. So they get the fresh track when they first get on, then we refresh it a couple of times during the morning. So you've got, you know, like 3 or 4 fresh tracks.
Right.
And that's so if you're going to work horses fast, you know, you can come out right after one of those breaks. And for 10 minutes, we workers only, and then we bring the rest of the horses.
And that's a safety issue, isn't it?
Absolutely,
to
it's a
redo
safety
the track
issue.
more
Yeah.
than horses just don't run on hard dirt or whatever.
Now, Craig, do some of the gamblers get there in the morning just to check out how they're running early?
The clockers.
The clockers. What's
Yes,
a clocker?
the clockers are the guys who time the workouts and put out reports, private reports that they sell to say, hey, this guy really worked well last
Right,
week.
right.
And
No kidding.
that's a big variable in handicapping.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And then of course then the chain goes from there to the folks that write the booklets and stuff that you see out front, and of course the racing form. Is that how the line is set early in the morning like that? Is that
The line is set based on just numbers, not so much the workouts.
Oh, no kidding.
And that's just on past races, etc. And the line, by the way, is meaningless.
No kidding.
Those things move as soon as money is bet. It's calculated.
Oh,
in
right,
other words,
right.
if a lot of money
So
is
the
bet on a
odds
horse,
are-
the odds
they
go
just-
down.
They call them probable. Yeah.
So the morning line you see is just a guess.
Okay, so there are folks watching this program that have never been to the races before, and it's an olfactory like the sights, the smells, the sounds, you know, the live, strong athletes, and then there's the horses.
That's right.
But when you open up that book, I forget what that's
Program.
called, the program, it's daunting a little bit. So Joe, if you were to tell a brand new bettor who wanted to bet on the first race what to look for in a horse that they knew nothing about, jockeys they knew nothing about, racing they knew nothing about, would you say stand back and just watch for a while, or would you let them?
You know what I've found that works the best for me personally is I ask them who they like.
No kidding.
And I tell you,
Who do you like?
it always is, I've never bet on a race before. Well, who do you like? How about this horse? Perfect.
Bet on
and
it.
it wins.
And
I
sometimes,
don't know what.
And it works.
Yeah, it works.
it's the name, it's the color the jockey's wearing. It could be anything. It's, oh, this reminds me of my Aunt Jody because it's Jody runs fast or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, we have people, you know, out there telling them how to bet and things like that, and they're play, you know, seminars and things that go on. But it's, you know, it's also, you've got a lot of, you know, the papers are the experts are telling you who they think are going to win.
The clockers.
Yeah, you look at the odds and see well why they like that horse, and it's a confusing thing.
It can be.
Yeah, it
and
is,
a lot
yeah.
of times just that random, this one, I'm going and it wins. You're like, I knew it.
I have a Del Mar race question.
Here comes Hollywood again.
In the movie,
We got the Del Mar.
You own the Brown Derby, right?
Yeah.
Tell us
That
about
race
that.
question?
Is that, yeah, I have another
Tell
Del Mar
us about
question for
that. I mean,
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
tell us about that time.
Well, I owned the Brown Derby. Actually, the family owned it. It was the
the
one
famous
on Vine
Los
Street.
Angeles Eatery.
Yes. Place of the Stars, and that
Yeah.
was, you know, those days they had the 2 NBC, CBS radios studios were right down the block, so everybody was in there for lunch. It was it was an agent's hangout and everything else like that. I remember one day I was in there with my dad, and this agent had a obviously an ingenue Hollywood hopeful, very attractive woman, girl, and he's saying, I'm going to call the producer right now. Fred, get me the phone, you know, and the waiter would come over, plug the phone in, and he'd call up. And he's talking to, she's sitting right here, she looks terrific. And my dad, who was sitting where he could see the back of the agent's head and the girl, and she was just wide-eyed. And my dad reached around and unplugged the phone because there was nobody. He wasn't talking to anybody. And showed her the thing. Her little face went down.
Oh, man.
Hollywood dream crushed.
But it saved her. Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I mean, you've got the season lasts till how long? Is the same length of season this year as normal?
Yeah, 31 days. We go till Labor Day Monday.
We got to talk about two things on this last break. We got to talk about what we're promoting this year, and some of the fun events that people can get to, and of course, there's this little thing called the Breeders' Cup that's coming to town here very shortly. And we'll talk about that when we come back. But of course, you got Joe Harper, CEO of Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, Craig Dado, CMO, and it's on the.
I have another Brown Derby question because I told somebody that the guy that invented the Cobb salads, first name was Bob Cobb. There it is. It's true. Non-believers.
saying, they sound better without me.
They really sound.
Craig, tell us about some of the fun stuff happening this year, because it's going to be a great year.
I wish I had a lot to talk about.
Well, we have races. We didn't
have
have
races,
last
but
year.
we generally have concerts twice a week and beer festivals, everything.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's hopefully
Food trucking? Are we food trucking?
We're not doing anything yet.
Okay.
We need to get through opening weekend, assess where we are, and I'm hopeful we can bring back a concert or two late in the meet.
Okay.
Let's talk about Breeders' Cup.
Breeders' Cup. You know, it's funny. They went 33 some years without ever thinking about coming to Del Mar, and they were all the big tracks across the country, but never Del Mar. And
why is that? Why was
well,
that?
that was a good question. That's what I kept asking him. Hey,
Why
here we
not
are.
us?
Here, call me, teacher.
Right.
And so the fact they finally figured out. Well, wait a minute. It's summer. They like the West Coast because of the time. TV time is best. The weather's usually better than rainy day in Belmont Park. But they finally figured out that we could perhaps do this thing, and we said, okay, guys, but 38,500 people, that's it. And they went, no, we have 50,000. I said, 38.5, that's it. You're going to make more money at 30. And they didn't believe us, but they were stuck.
Yeah, they had to.
And it had to show up. And it turned out to be the most profitable Breeders' Cup in 34 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just because people could get to a window, they could make their bets.
Right.
70% of the people there had never been to, were out of town, out of the country. But you had all the swells. I mean, you had all the Brits and the Irish and the Mideast, sheikdoms and
They
the
came
South
out to
American.
see the races.
They were there, yeah.
And when is this year's big one?
It's 5th and 6th of November. And you mentioned economic impact earlier.
Yeah, that's a big one.
The economic impact of Breeders' Cup Week in 2017 was $97 million to San Diego. And because, like Joe said,
In just one weekend.
yeah,
Yeah,
75% of the attendees were from outside of Southern California. And these people mostly flew in private, stayed at the fancy hotels, went to dinner, talking to all the restaurants. They all had one regret.
What's that?
They ran out of their fancy wine the first night.
Nope.
Yeah, they weren't
They got
expecting
to
it, right?
stock up, get enough opus in there, and because these guys are spending money. You're coming out, your horse is racing for $6 million. You're not gonna go to Denny's, right? You're going out and you're gonna party.
Open a box of wine to celebrate.
So
He buys his wine where he buys his suits, Chevron.
Chevrons are so
yeah.
convenient.
So this year's Breeders' Cup is proven to be, I mean, at least what you read about in the trades and stuff. It's one of the most anticipated Breeders' Cups in a long time. And I think it's because it's come back to San Diego.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think people, not just Del Mar, but San Diego in general, a lot of the people they'd never been to San Diego.
Sure.
They didn't know what it was.
Right.
I mean, I had people come and say, "We never knew, Joe. We never knew it was." Yeah, well, here you are. Now come back. And so I think now they want to come back and see it because it really was a great experience. Not just at the racetrack, but and we had parties for them at the aquarium, and we had different
Powerhouse
things on the
Park,
beach.
they rented out that and did a big party out there.
This is kind of a undiscovered place for a lot of people around the world, and.
Now, is this like, had we built a stadium here in San Diego, I know it's a sore subject, we would have seen a Super Bowl every 6-7 years. Will we see a Breeders' Cup at this point now that you've succeeded? And is the idea that maybe they come back every 4 years or 5 years?
So it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
And we think we're going to be in the rotation permanently.
That's unbelievable. That's amazing. And as far as tracks that stack up, you guys are easily the #1 track in the country right now, right?
Saratoga, New York, Del Mar, and Keeneland in Kentucky are kind of the big three.
And that's a big part because some of the changes you guys made in the past, but also the visibility that Breeders' Cup brought a few years ago.
Sure.
When does that pitch start, by the way? When do you start pitching for, the next one?
Well, we really had to make a big pitch to get the first one. As
Yeah.
Joe knows, we had to fly back to Kentucky and make a big presentation. Now our work speaks for itself. They see the numbers, they see the finances, and they want to come
And
back.
they know the city. They all came out and
Yeah, I think they had their way. They probably want to come here every year.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's some people on their board that have other things. But,
All right, yeah.
and I think it should be around, But they like the West Coast, and Santa Anita did a great job when it was there. Keeneland in Lexington is that's one of the great tracks too. I mean, it's right in the middle of the horse country. It's a beautiful place, and they do a great management job. And unfortunately, they had it last year when the COVID hit, so there was nobody there.
luck of the draw.
So they're going to get it next year. And,
Sorry,
that would
Kentucky.
get there, yeah.
I have a Del Mar race question. All right. So you're flipping around television, and you come up to the 10 Commandments. Do you flip on through, or do you watch it?
No, I get out my deposit slip.
Yeah. That's right, because there's a check on it.
That's the back of my head right there.
But do you watch it? I mean, do you watch it? I mean, you've seen it.
I do watch it, yeah.
you? Oh,
and
that's
it's been remastered. You know, they've come up with more color and
And Greatest Show on Earth too, wasn't that also featuring your mug?
Yes, yeah, that was.
I have a question. Do you remember the movie Seabiscuit?
Yes.
Was that shot in Del Mar? Or was
No, you know why?
Why?
They couldn't shoot it at Del Mar because we'd build a new racetrack. So they had to go find an old racetrack.
Too new.
Yeah, it was too new.
Was there any? Do we ever see film crews there? Is there any sort of filming going on there other than television? Or?
Entourage.
Entourage,
Yeah,
Keeping Up with the Kardashians, The Bachelor. We do a ton of shows. Yeah.
On the air with
We do it
Sully.
on the air from.
Tom
Yeah,
on the air from-
Yeah, the Little People of LA, remember that?
Yeah.
Well, best of
Still
luck
an
on a
image.
fantastic year. You guys.
You know what? Joe Harper, thank you for always going on KUSI. Craig Dado, thank you very much for always going on KUSI.